Hello, I'm FX Toycat, and lofty peaks are officially here, and if you type in this very short seed, then you will spawn directly onto one. Or rather, you'll spawn facing this dirt block, but if you look just a little bit either side of that dirt block, you'll find immediately that yes, this is some very vertical terrain, more vertical than we've seen ever before, and it's hugely interesting. But of course, I have to mention, it's not the only new biome that was added in this week's Java snapshot. 4 other biomes, which have existed on Bedrock for a while, are now here on Java, like the Grove, the Stony Peaks, the Snow-Capped Peaks, and the Snowy Slopes, alongside the Meadow, of course. But the Lofty Peaks is the one you're probably most curious about, because when they said that mountains would be getting an improvement, this is what you pictured, and this is finally here, directly at spawn on this seed. You might be asking now, is that Java or Bedrock, Toycat? And you know, that's a good question. I think the only way to know for sure is to try this seed on Bedrock and to see if it works there. And at first glance, it's like, aha, this is actually a very different seed you'll find on Minecraft Bedrock, although it seems as though a hugely interesting one, because look at these mountains right here. But if we check the coordinates on here on the Bedrock edition, and we compare those same coordinates against the Java edition, you'll see they're actually slightly different in terms of spawns. Be warned, if you stand still long enough on the Java seed, the lava mountain will eventually get you. You know what? Pro tip, watch out for that. But if we die, we can use our new respawn point as an opportunity to say that this is your rough spawn point on Java. And over here at those exact same coordinates on Bedrock, it is the exact same seed. This is the first seed Sunday in an era where it doesn't matter what version the seed is on, as long as it's not negative. If it is a Bedrock seed, it is also a Java seed that should look the same everywhere. There are so many caveats on that. I mean, initially you can tell that, actually wait, even though the generation is the same and there's a jungle just over here, you can see that on the Java version, the mesa is only over there, whereas on the Bedrock version, it's like a savanna that is a mesa right over here. The trees are in different places, the bees are in different places, and everything that rhymes with those two things is the same. And even the nature of that valley down there is hugely different. Instead of being a big plains like it is over here, it's filled with mesa tree, or with trees with this very weird tint to them that they have in a mesa biome. And so yeah, it seems as though there are some slight kinks to be ironed out. However, ignoring that, as you can see, this is very much the same seed on 2 separate platforms, because Bedrock and Java seeds are now the same. This is a lofty peak seed for both platforms, but what is a lofty peak, I hear you asking? And allow me to give you the full description from Minecraft.net, because a lofty peaks are dramatic, jagged mountain peaks with snow and stone. Spawns goats. And okay, that's the end. That is your full description of this biome. And so rather than getting the description from Minecraft themselves, how about you get it by watching and exploring with this video? We'll flip back and forth between the 2 versions just for fun. When the screen is got slight black bars at the top, that's because phone aspect ratios are wider than they are too, and we're playing Bedrock. And when the screen is obviously full screen like this, you know we're playing Java. There's a ton of other things you can tell based on, like the colors and like the... there's a lot of other miniature things you might spot. But yeah, we're going to be going ahead and we're going to be exploring just like that. By the way, to add even more caveats, here on Bedrock, they hard cap the terrain at 256 blocks, which they do on Java as well, but they do it slightly smoother. So this is what it looks like here on Bedrock. But if we go to the exact same point on Java, not only does it look different because different color palette and different biome to begin with, but 256 blocks does go up something like this. So you can tell they are stopping the terrain, but it's slightly less obvious. It looks slightly more natural, in my opinion, and I think this is a better job than whatever this is, if I'm being honest with you. But again, there's room for improvements. For now, we're talking about the biome and how you can find it and how you can take advantage of it and why you want to, because as you can see, this biome is going to be one that is there for these beautiful vistas. I mean, even, you know, if mesa biomes are less common like they are in Java, which is what I would expect is the actual intended result, you can see that when a lofty peaks goes into a mesa biome, obviously it can't just go straight down to flat, and so you get these beautiful biome combinations with the lofty peaks and pretty much every other biome out there. I mean, even when you look down here at how the jungle kind of merges into it, it's very, very beautiful to see, and that's not to say that it's not a beautiful biome in its own right. I mean, look at this right here. If we F1 our way out, isn't this just a beautiful vista you want in your Minecraft world? The answer is yes, this is a beautiful vista you want in your Minecraft world, and there's so many opportunities for, you know, these water and lava falls, and also there's opportunities for survival. And although those opportunities opportunities are greatly increased if, let's say, it's a mesa biome, which famously is known for spawning gold everywhere. Although apparently, I'm guessing because of legacy code reasons, that doesn't work for these magical mesa cliffs, where as you can see, even with a cave this big, we'd expect to see dozens of gold ore veins, but we're just not seeing any of that right now. Again, I feel like the one reason you'd want mesa mountains, by the way, look at this cave. You know, is this cave the same with both versions? I want to find out now. It's not quite the same, but if you look right here, it is broadly similar actually. They've got, again, another minor difference that really points out that this isn't quite the same yet. We say parity so much, but even though it only works on a tiny subsect of Java seeds and 50% of Bedrock seeds, and then it has all the decoration issues, and then it has all the biome issues, because they're not quite leveled there, it then has other issues. Again, it's quite the accomplishment, but I always have to point out, like, yes, this is very different between versions, but as you can see, this mesa biome cave, it's a mesa biome on both platforms, in reality is not underneath a mesa biome, at least at this point. And so if you want all the gold, you've got to start going down real deep before you can take advantage of it. Which, as you can see right here, once you hit about 70, 80 blocks, yes, that is where all the gold in the world starts coming in and being amazing. Honestly, these new caves plus mesa biomes are so OP. You can get an amount of gold you wouldn't believe before. I saw someone on Reddit who turned their ocean monument into a gold ocean monument, and I thought, wow, that's a shame I can't do that in survival. I think after this update, combining your fortune picks from 1.17, and you might have more gold than you ever know what to do with, which sounds like, oh no, that's such a big problem, but it's actually a great balance for gold farms. So I love this for gold, but the reason these mountains are great is not just that they contain very big caves, because obviously you can find very big caves anywhere in Minecraft these days. Oh man, this is really found anywhere in Minecraft now. I feel like there's gotta be... flying around one of these of the Elytra, I feel like I might do for days at a time and not get bored of. And when it's in a mesa, and look at the amount of gold too. Sorry, I've got to move on to my next point, because videos, you got to keep the information flowing. You can't just say gold, 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 gold for 15 minutes. Although, watch me, gold, 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 gold. Man, if you want certain resources, then you are going to find them in abundance. Even the other ores, like the coppers or the coals, I mean, with this much surface for them to expose themselves on, I mean, it's just insane, honestly. Anyway, so let's get back to the surface and raise my actual point. Before we get back to the surface to raise my actual point, I'd like to point out this dripstone cave biome looks broadly the same across platforms, except, as you can see, it has a abandoned mine shaft in it, over here on Java. Again, another minor difference, but it does still have the same amount of gold. Both platforms are getting a huge infusion of not only gold, you know, making a ocean monument out of gold is going to be a real goal you can make yourself. I guess a real gold you can make yourself. But if you take a peek at these mountains, you don't actually need to go to the caves to find a huge amount of coal or iron, because they're readily available in the cliffs. I have to mention this a lot, and I'm sorry if this is repetitive if you've heard this before, but the new caves, and especially the lofty peaks, because the new coal and the new emerald generation mean the higher up in your world you get, the more you will find both of those ores. Meaning if you go all the way up to Y255, as an example, you're going to be finding insane amounts of both of those things. Here is a coal ore vein, here is another one, here is... If the amount you can find over here means that mining in Minecraft no longer inherently has to be underground. If you are just looking for emerald ore, I mean, if you're looking for emeralds, go to a village. But if you're looking for emerald ore, if you're looking for coal ore, or you're looking for a large amount of iron ore, again, it's not always the most efficient place, but getting all three of those things at the same time is something you'll do right here. Another thing that makes these lofty peaks so handy, being some of the tallest natural terrain you'll find in Minecraft, is that if you equip an Elytra, and you don't want to use durability with the new system where you take durability not from flying but from fireworks, then obviously you can whip that on, you can fly off the top, and you can cover an insane amount of terrain. Climbing these mountains in that weird, you know, like mid to late game where you have an Elytra but not a reliable source of fireworks yet, or you just don't want to waste your Elytra because you don't want to kill phantoms and repair it, or you don't have mending yet. When you're in that stage of the game but you want to explore a huge amount, climbing mountains is a great way to help you get there. I mean, the fact that I've covered, just to confirm right here, compare the two coordinates, I've covered 800 blocks from the top of that mountain horizontally, and I'm still going further. It could probably be a lot further if I'd have done this better. I'm at 1,000 blocks away from that mountain now, and this is just flying around naturally in the current terrain generation. When we first saw trailers for this update, that was a very heavily emphasized thing, and I think we underappreciated just how real of a benefit that is off the big mountains. And again, if you have mending, if you have fireworks, of course you don't care about this. Honestly, if you have both those things, you don't care about the new ores or these new caves or anything like that, because it's not going to affect most of your survival day to day. Probably. Again, you can make it affect it if you want to set yourself some challenges out of that. However, if you are in the mid-game right now, if you are about to make a new world, if you are, again, in the phase where you have an Elytra but it's not mended, or you just haven't been to the end yet, then these new mountains will provide amazing drop-off points compared to the current terrain, where sure, you can go a couple hundred blocks, but then you've got to, climb yourself up something else entirely. I think this is a revolutionary change for flying, and if you agree with me, then you know what you need to do. Clearly the answer is that you need to destroy an entire mountain biome. I mean, think about all of the coal that's not only visible, but also that's hiding away beneath the ground. Honestly, it's not a huge amount compared to the effort you'd have to go through to find it. I think the best thing to do is find a mountain nowhere near you and just to strip mine the outside, because it's going to be just about as good as getting inside anyway. But yeah, destroy an entire mountain and prove to the game that you value it. I don't think, honestly, these lofty peaks biomes are showing me that the bottom height is 64, so this is 192 blocks of growth above the bottom of the world, which is just too insane for any man to truly destroy the entire biome. So I think what I want to do now is make like a fun little pass going through it. And again, when 1.18 comes out, I will be destroying most of a mountain. I will be turning the mountain from 1 into 2, because the biome's so good, I want multiple of them. Speaking of things I want multiple of, did you know I currently have 1.7 million subscribers, and I would like 1.8. Why? They're both just numbers, but apparently 1.8 is bigger than 1.7. How can you make it possible? Did you know subscribing is a great way to see more of my videos, and also boosting my ego very slightly, and hopefully, in making me feel slightly better about myself in the day. So if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, and also consider not dying in a house fire, because I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you, and goodbye. This is a beautiful seed though, right? We can all agree on that? It's a weird seed sundae, but it's a valid seed sundae. Ooh, I don't like this at all. Okay, goodbye.